Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for jumping into episode 6 with us. I'm here with Tou from Yelo Auto Sports. He's done a lot of great things. I don't know if you haven't heard about him, make sure to check him out at his website, yeloautosports.com.
Yep.
Just a lot of his journey of jumping into entrepreneurship from, I'll let him kind of explain it later on, but I just really wanted him to get on because he has a really unique journey of getting into entrepreneurship, and I think he can bring a lot of value to the podcast and the audience that watches this. And so I'm sure they're excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, just thanks for having me on. I've been watching your stuff for a little bit, so it's cool to see that young folks out there are just people trying to get and really show, different avenues for young folks. So, I reached out to you, but I was like, it'd also be good to just let people know what it takes to get to a certain point in the journey.
Yeah.
And then just how much further there is to get to a certain point, right? Because obviously I've only been in business, like you said, I run Yelo Auto Sports. It's auto detailing, window tint, we do vinyl wrap. But, that's a 5-year journey, and the journey is long. So it can get lost in the, it ain't a short-term thing. Sometimes the goals take a long time. So
for sure.
Something to remember.
Awesome. Yeah, I think everything you just said there is kind of the reason we wanted to have you on. Me and you've been known each other for a little bit through social media, and now we've been able to kind of make this happen. And I think you got a lot of good nuggets of knowledge to be able to share with the audience.
For
so
sure.
I think this would be awesome. Let people know a little bit about yourself. You talked about, Yelo Auto Sports. Let people know a little bit about that, and also kind of jump into like your beginning stages of your life and how you got into that.
For sure. So I'm 31 now, so I'm probably just at the prime, but not too young either. Past all my partying days, stuff like that. I still go out and stuff like that. But yeah, we're born in. My family we came from Paris, so we're from France. So I lived there for the first 10 years of my life.
Gotcha.
And then we moved here in '99. So it's been a minute. 2020 already. So it's been 21 years. But that was a challenge right off the bat. 11 years old, not speaking the language. So. Small challenge right away. Then I think pretty much just a regular high school life like everybody else. Except I wasn't your A student. I wasn't. Man, I hated school. I hated school.
Same.
Homework.
Same.
Man, I missed probably half the school year. Got booted out of that high school. So what I'm saying. And I say that because it's just want to. It's not where you start. It's ultimately where you end up, or your way to getting where you want to be. So
and there's not one path to everything.
Yeah, exactly, and and that's what you see so much on the internet. If you follow a lot of entrepreneurs, they're all over the place. Just graduated high school late, but we got it done, and I went to the Marine Corps right away. So within I graduated one day, and the next day I was on my way to San Diego for boot camp in the Marine Corps. At the time I didn't really know why I was going in. But I did it. I was 17 when I signed up. So,
talk a little bit about, before we jump into the Marine stuff. Talk a little bit about, okay, so you weren't that good at school, similar to me. How was your parents viewing that when you were in school?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know how it is as kids in general. I think they got parents on our back.
Yeah.
But in the Hmong culture, probably even more so. And education is always the thing that's hammered, and probably I always like to think maybe it's because maybe it's because our folks didn't have the chance to go through the education.
For sure.
So they push us that way. The problem is we all grew up out here. Right? We grew up in the West. I grew up in Paris. That's just like in the U.S.,
Yeah.
So growing up there, you kind of want to do your own thing. Mm-hmm. So, for me, and maybe the fact that our parents are always pressing us too. We're like, we don't, we kind of want to rebel against that.
Yeah.
Because we're just kids.
Yep.
So I think part of it was just rebelling against that, and just just kind of rebelling, and then obviously my interests were in other places,
Yep.
I liked obviously hanging out with my friends like everybody else, but I also liked skating, and just had big hobbies that didn't involve when they were not part of school. So, that kind of pushed me away from doing coursework, and bad grades follow.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. But you got it done, and so instead of going the regular route, which is college, you guys decided to jump into Marines. Why'd you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I ask myself all the time why I did that, and honestly I can't remember why I did that at 17. Basically, just talked to a recruiter. I think within a week, I was already signed up. So, excuse me. And so my dad was, he was cool with it, obviously, because I wasn't doing nothing in school. So he's like, yeah, you should go out there, get some discipline, you know. So I did that, and just chose that route. And then after that, it kind of just took off. You know, once you get shipped out to San Diego, then you're part of the government. You do their thing, you know. So then that was a journey on its own. But that was a big part for me, at least, to grow up.
Yeah,
was definitely from the military. Yeah.
A lot of you guys learned a lot of life skills from that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, for sure. You know, it was my first time to be away from my parents for such a long time. It was my first time getting yelled at by people other than my parents, right? So when you get yelled at by people that you don't know, you know, it's intimidating. You're 17, you know. At that time, I was like 140 pounds, you know, tiny little Asian dude. So to get yelled at by big drill instructors, it's scary, you know. And I didn't have anybody in the, you know, my parents were not in the military. I didn't have no uncles, no cousins in the military, so I didn't know what I was going into. It was all new. But yeah, you learn a lot about just, you know, discipline, bearing, how to get things done on time, how to be someplace on time, and you know that seems like being on place sometimes seems like not much. At the time. But then you get older and you realize like, yo, being on time is a pretty important thing for the rest of your life.
For sure.
You know,
so. That's crazy. That's awesome, though. And then, so you were there for what? How long? 4 years?
Yeah, so I was actually did 6 years as a reservist, which means you only do 1 weekend a month, and then you do 2 weeks a year. So I did that for 6 years, from the time of 18 till 24. And I was pretty much home for most of that time. And I did go to college, community college, but I never finished. Failed a bunch of classes, passed a few. And then in between of doing that too, we deployed. I went to Africa for about almost 7 months. So that was a good experience, you know, just seeing the world, seeing different things. But yeah, it was a quick 6 years. At the beginning it seems long, but looking back it's pretty quick.
Cool. And then I guess you come back home, or you're done after 6 years. What were the next steps? Yeah,
so I was 24, 2012, I think. So yeah, at that point I was I applied. So I got back from deployment in 2010, and I applied for the St. Paul Fire Department because I was actually a firefighter already in the Marine Corps. That was my job in the Marine Corps.
Gotcha.
So I kind of knew, you know, from the time that I was 17 or so, I kind of had this hunch that I would want to be a firefighter in the future. So I joined the Marine Corps and became a firefighter for that, and then. Came home, like I said, deployment, came home 2010. I applied for City of St. Paul was hiring at the time. So I looked that up online, applied. And I then after that, it was just kind of afterthought, you know. I was going to school, finishing up my Marine Corps, the last 2 years. So, I just did that, waited, and things kind of worked out. St. Paul hit me up one day with, you know, a letter, hey, we're ready for you to come take a test. You know, I had to pass my EMT, which is about a semester long, medical technician course. I had to pass that, and then and I had to go through. Obviously, they have a psych test and a written test and a physical test, so we had to pass all of that, and then finally panel interview, and then academy. So it was a process. And I think I applied in 2010, and I didn't get hired till 2013.
I didn't know firefighters had to go through all of that to be able to become one.
And you know, especially in the big cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul. There's only so many slots, right? It's just one of those jobs where somebody's got to get out for somebody to come in. So it just takes forever, you know. So for me, it took me 3 years before I got on. So it was a road to get there. It was a challenge too. You know, I think I got passed at least 3 times in the academy. You know, before I actually got to an academy. So it's a long road.
How much? I mean, so you become a firefighter, and how long do you do that for before you start Yelo Auto Sports?
So I got in the fire department in 2013, and I worked the fire department, strictly fire department, for 2 years. And so our schedule is 10 days a month, where it's scattered between every other day for about 4 work shifts. And then you'll either get 4 days or 6 days off in a row, right? So the first 2 years I just coasted. I was just kind of worried about learning the job, how to be a good firefighter. And I'm still doing that every day, but at the beginning, you know, I was really zoned in on that. And I enjoy the free time. I mean, 20 days off a month. I never had a job that had 20 days off a month, you know. And I had you know, for me at the time, that was already great. I got a real career with a real salary.
Yep.
So I'm like, cool, I got it.
Yep.
But after a while, you're like, man, 20 days off a month, that's kind of like...
It's a lot of free time.
It's a lot of free time. And, you know, I wasn't married at the time, but it's like, yo, your friends are not free from Monday to Friday. So ain't nobody to hang out with. Yeah. So it's like, so yeah, I think 2015 is when we started Yelo. And so I started with a partner at the beginning. You know, we ended that shortly after. But yeah, that just stemmed from an idea, man.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
And just rolled right into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Before we jump to Yelo Auto Sports, tell us a little bit about your firefighter experience. Like, I guess how many fires happen?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Because you only work 10 days a month. How many fires happen, like, on a general basis?
For sure. So, yeah, a lot of people are not, you know, too familiar with what we do, and a lot of times because we're in the fire stations and nobody sees us too much, you know. But so we actually we're EMT paramedics.
Yeah.
So that means like whenever you see an ambulance, it's in the city of St. Paul, not Minneapolis, but in St. Paul, we're firefighters / EMT paramedics.
Yep.
So we'll do anything from like somebody being sick,
Yep.
breaking your leg, allergic reactions, cardiac arrest. We deal with all that, and on top of that, we'll also respond to, you know, if there's a fire incident, something catches on fire, or if there's a hazmat incident, you know, like a fuel tank gets spilled on the highway or whatever. And then also in St. Paul, we've got the river, we've got the bluffs, and a bunch of high rise. So the St. Paul Fire Department is actually a pretty diverse fire department. I mean, we're the capital city of the state, you know, so we've got all the resources. And so it's a lot more diverse than people usually know. They usually just think we go to a fire and then we come back and chill.
For sure.
But there's a lot more to it than just that. So there's a lot of education in it. But yeah, I mean, day-to-day operation is, you know, you get to your fire station, you clean up a little bit real quick. And then usually there's going to be like some training for the day. Then we all cook. We all cook at the station because we live there for 24 hours, right? So 8 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yep.
So we go to the grocery store, so you might see the fire truck once in a while at Cup Foods or something. We're buying food for the day.
Yep.
And after that, we just wait for what happens in the city. You know, some days you might get you might leave the fire station twice in one day. Some days you might leave, 15 times in a day, you know. So it's one of those jobs where you never know what the day's going to bring.
Yeah.
But it's kind of exciting at the same time because it's, you know, no offense to people that sit behind a desk, but for me, I don't think that was the style for me. You know, that's not my personality.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fire department's like, you never know what you're going to get. And you're never going to run. Generally, you're not going to run into the same thing too much, you know. So it's exciting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So, become a firefighter for 2 years full time, and you're like, I got 20 days off.
Yep.
And then an idea pops up. For Yelo Auto Sports? How did that happen?
Yeah, so that was actually really, really random. So my cousin, I had a Miata at the time, little Miata.
Yep.
So my cousin just showed me how to buff it out, make it look real nice, and I just looked at it. I was like, man, that's really nice. That looks super clean. Like, yo, I didn't even think we could make a car look that clean.
Yeah.
I bet you people would probably appreciate something like this, you know? And that was it. That was it. Then me and my cousin just sat down. We talked for like a good 4 hours that day after we got done doing my car.
Yeah.
The next day we had LLC rolling, you know. So literally overnight idea.
Yeah.
And so no business background. I never taken no business class. Well, I take it back. I took intro to business one time in college, which I actually passed. But that's it. That's all I had. I didn't have no entrepreneur buddies at the time. You know, none of that. So it's all from scratch.
Yeah.
We just launched the LLC, and then it's just been a learning journey for the last, 2015 we started, so it's been 5 years, and then every day is just a learning journey. So I'm constantly just, if I can meet other entrepreneurs like yourself, other entrepreneurs like the ones you've had on your podcast, or just hop on YouTube, Gary Vee, even Joe Rogan motivates me. So, it's just a constant learning journey. Every single day as an entrepreneur, you're always going to make mistakes. So I'm making mistakes all the time.
For sure. I mean, that's part of the game.
For sure.
That's part of the game. So talk a little bit about, were you interested in business before Yelo Auto Sports? Was that something that you even thought about?
So, I wasn't really interested in a business, but I had organized some things because I was a skater when I was growing up.
Okay.
So I had already organized, I think from the age of 17 till 23, I organized 5 different skate competitions where I was actually able to get like different skaters from all across the Midwest to come and
Really?
like collect $1,000 and get sponsors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of had an idea of how to do that, how
Yeah.
to get people together for one common thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had done that, and then I remember in high school I would always like doodle, because I was really into skating. I would doodle like some makeup clothing brand or makeup skate rollerblading parts.
Yeah.
And so I was toyed with the idea, but it was just, for fun. But I guess you could say that's like kind of the beginning of like just seeing like there's a little bit of entrepreneur behind me.
For sure. For sure. That makes sense now.
Yeah. But then then you go through life, and then finally you open Yelo Auto Sports. And once you open the business, then you're all in.
Yep.
You're all in.
Yep.
So either you're gonna like it, get into it, or you won't.
Yep.
So
for sure. So you and your buddy start that. How was that beginning journey? Like, how did you guys get customers? How did you guys find a place to like do all that?
yeah. So first we started in the garage right at
Okay.
home, just like most guys who do cart work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's a hobby and you start in your garage. So
Yep.
that's exactly how we started.
Okay.
Did a couple cars. I think within a month of starting, we already had a shop,
Mm.
which we just did a Craigslist. We found
Yep.
it online.
Yeah.
Which then you're like right away you start and you're like, crap, now I got overhead.
Yeah.
I got overhead. I don't even have no
Yeah,
clients
rent.
yet.
Yeah.
I don't have no
Yeah.
clients. Like, who's gonna pay me? I don't want to pay out of my pocket.
Yep.
Obviously, you'll have to.
Yep.
That's how you start. You invest.
Yep.
But it's like, who's gonna pay me, and how do we get our name out there? So that's when you start thinking like an entrepreneur. Finally, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, now I got to figure out. Well, what is branding?
Yep.
What does it mean to brand? What does it mean to advertise? What does it mean to
Mhm.
market? And how are you going to do that? Are you
Yeah.
going to do posts? Are you going to be on social media? Are you going to do door-to-door knock? You're going to do postcards?
Yep.
So all those things is, you don't really figure it out until you get the ball rolling. So
Yeah.
that's what my advice is. I was like, if you got an idea, start today. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
So
So
as you go.
yeah.
So you guys start in your garage. You guys got a good couple clients to start out with to be able to get that first spot.
No, so we did initial investment each. We threw some money in.
Gotcha.
We had to just
Yeah.
to get all the right tools, and obviously, the longer you stay in business, the bigger your assets seem to get.
Yeah.
So you have more tools, more equipment.
Yep.
But at the beginning, we needed a few, just to get the ball rolling.
Mhm.
But yeah. So we invested with each other.
Okay. And then how did you guys start getting clients? You guys got your own first shop. What you were just talking about marketing, branding, advertising. What did you guys do to get your first couple clients?
Yeah. So the first thing we did is I think the first thing I remember doing is we did a car show right off the bat.
Okay.
So we were both car enthusiasts, and JDM, your NSX, your Acuras, all that stuff.
Sure.
So right off the bat, we're like, okay, let's do car shows.
Mm-hmm.
Car shows is let's put a booth together with a table with our services. This is what we do. This is the name of our brand. Just kind of like as an intro to like, hey, this is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the first thing that we did that actually brought us a few clients.
Yeah.
And after that, it was asking like all your friends and family,
Sure.
like, hey, somebody, hey, you got a nice car,
Yeah,
you got a nice car, you want to do this, do that, do that. And obviously the prices are low, because you're like, hey, we got to get our way in the door somehow.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, wherever you can get it, at the beginning,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah. So ask a lot of friends and through a car show, which I think is super smart. And talk a bit about like, all right, now you guys have clients. How'd you guys deal with like being overbooked or having to maybe hire people on? Like, what was that like?
Yep. Yeah, so we just ran it with just two of us for, I think, the first about a year and a half, and then we started hiring guys. But there's challenges when you hire somebody, obviously. You're bringing somebody that you don't know into your business, and they're going to ultimately represent you. The minute they put on your logo, they represent you. So their services, their customer service, all those things. All of a sudden you have to become a teacher. It's like, okay, well, now I got to teach the right way. At the same time, you're learning, so it's not like you're a pro and you're like teaching what you already know. You're learning while teaching. So the whole time is just like, I'm trying to figure out what to do so I can teach it down, which is super valuable once you get more comfortable with it. But still constantly learning. So we hired a few guys. Got the shop. And then the ball kind of started rolling because we did more car shows too. And like I said, we just kept our prices low because we knew we had to get our way into the market somehow.
Build that brand awareness.
Yeah, exactly. Brand awareness. So, for about first 2 years, I think the beginning, we had about 3 employees right off the bat. I've been super fortunate that I've had really good dudes. I'm still friends with them.
Yeah.
I really believe as an owner, it's like, yes, they're your employees, but if you're not looking for their welfare, they're gonna see that over time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You always want that boss, and a lot of it I learned from the Marine Corps, because in the Marine Corps they'll give you like, hey, you're a supervisor after 4 years. You've been on 4 years, you're a supervisor. But not everybody should be a supervisor.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense.
That's the truth. Just because you've been in the game for 4 years doesn't mean you should be supervisor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because some people don't want to be supervisor. Maybe they just like being, just doing the work. Versus some people actually want to lead a couple guys and inspire or help, and so. So from that experience in the Marine Corps, I was able to see right off the bat, like, okay, that's not the way to be a good leader.
Yeah.
You yell at people, they're not gonna listen.
Yeah.
So then you feel that yourself, and then when you eventually you jump into that role, just gotta think back and be like, okay, I can't do that to my own guys.
Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
try my best to do that.
Cool. Well, we're gonna jump into more detail here, but I want to take a quick break. So we'll jump back in here in a second. All right, so we'll jump back in here. So you're talking about, you're working with your guys.
Yeah.
You've taken a lot of stuff from your Marine Corps to be able to apply that also to your business. How big of a deal do you think, like, being a firefighter, being a Marine, helped you be able to just be a better entrepreneur?
Yeah, for sure. So, at the end of the day, there's a ton of things I have to thank the Marine Corps, the military, the structure that comes with that, as well as the structure that comes to be a firefighter. As you know, those jobs, at the end of the day, they require some discipline. You're not going to run into a burning building if you don't have no discipline.
For
You're
sure.
not going to go run 3 miles if you have no discipline. You're not going to put things in order on a table. As minute as it seems, when I was younger in the Marine Corps, it'd be like, hey, put your toothbrush there and put your toothpaste here. And you're like, man, that's stupid. Why we got to do that every day?
Yep.
But after a while, you realize, like, hey, if I put it right there every single day, I know exactly where it's at. So now I'm saving time, right? So I'm like, hey, I need to do this at work.
Yeah.
Hey, where's my buffer? Oh, it's right here because I put it right here for a reason, So those little things translate over time in my personal life, in my business life, just kind of everything. So, and I think also the Marine Corps for me, even though I didn't do any combat, I didn't do anything like that, but it was the hardest thing I'd done at that time, to do like 15-mile hikes or be yelled at by people, be told what time I have to sleep or wake up. So all that made life, like, it seemed to me at the time, like it really, really sucked.
Yep.
Excuse me. So when I came back to the real world or to the civilian life, you're like, man, now I'm not getting yelled at anymore.
Yeah.
So life is actually easier. So whenever things get tough, I just think back of like, man, when business is hard and I'm like, oh, I'm stressing. I'm like, well, at least I'm not hiking for 10 miles. At least nobody's yelling at me.
Yep.
So I try to use the experiences that I call them the experiences that suck, but there's a saying in the Marine Corps, it's embrace the suck, right? So and start to learn how to enjoy the sucky parts, because there's a parts that either make you better as an individual, as an entrepreneur. So I've learned to just kind of try to embrace the suck, whether it's in business, when either business is slow or an error happens. Whether it's in firefighting, when you're waking up 5 times at night and you're super tired, how to stay professional in those moments. And in the Marine Corps, it was harder to embrace the suck at that time because I was 21. But, growing up, now I can look back on it and be like, man, those things really did help me to be more, more level-headed, if you will,
I like that statement, embrace the suck. With entrepreneurship, you're gonna people like to see just the pretty part of it.
Right.
Like if they look at you, they're like, okay, this guy's booked out, this guy's doing his thing. The videos look all nice and stuff like that.
Right.
But they don't get to see the grind, the work that you put in to be able to make that stuff actually happen. Yeah. And that type of stuff is really what entrepreneurship is really about.
Absolutely.
And so I think being able to embrace that is very important. If anybody wants to get into entrepreneurship or anybody wants to do anything hard or something that's even like if you want to be like a doctor, a dentist, or any career path you want to get into, you gotta embrace this stuff because that's just part of the journey. So I love that you brought that up. So talk a little bit about, like, you open up your shop, you're hiring people. Talk a little bit about your parents' view on your business.
Yeah, so at that time, I think the first thing that most Hmong parent want is at least I just want to see that first of all, if you're a kid who did bad in school, first thing they want to know is just is this dude gonna get his crap together?
Yep.
So when I went to the Marine Corps, it got a little better. Me and my dad we were always cool, but it was always like do this, and then when I got in the Marine Corps, it's more like all right, he's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But then I came back and it's like okay, well, what's he gonna do now?
Yeah.
Then I got on the fire department, and then my dad's like, all right, cool, he's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I started the business, and I think by that point I had done enough things to kind of prove to my dad, because you feel like you're always proving something to your parents in the Hmong community.
Yeah.
You always feel like you got to prove something. So my dad he didn't have too much to say about me starting the business. I was already 27 when I started it, so I think he was just along for the ride by that point. But they're supportive. They come out to my car shows. They'll come to the shop, bring food to my employees every now and then.
That's awesome.
So they're supportive. So. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah,
that helps a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then talk a little bit about, like, did you have any mentors when you were jumping into business? Because you said this is your first go around.
First go as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
No.
Just kind of learn the game was
No
kind of your
mentor.
mentor.
Yeah. You just tackle every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
The premise is simple, right? For the most part, the premise is you're gonna do a business. It's gonna cost you money. How are you gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
That's the premise.
Yeah.
That's at the most basic level.
Mm-hmm.
So and I've always been a fan of brands. I've always been like a brand guy. Like I was a big soccer player when I was younger, and I always loved. I'd be watching the old Ronaldo or the Zidane or the big players at the time, and I always be like, man, that dude's, and that's why I'm still a brand guy. PSG, Jordan, I'm still a brand guy. So brand always attracted me. Like, oh man, Nike, how come I want Nikes? As a kid, I was always kind of like that. So I was like, okay, well now I got a brand. Mm-hmm. How do we brand? Mm-hmm. How do we make our name something that some people know about? Yeah. So lucky for us, YouTube is like that's like magic, right? Yeah. You can just hop in. How do I brand my company? Things like that. So for the last 5 years, every single day I spend at least an hour when I start my day with just a different topic on YouTube. And when I'm working too, at the shop, if I'm like tinting or vacuuming, if I don't have to be in front of a client, I always get the headphones in and I'm listening to something. Cause,
like a podcast or something?
Yeah, like a podcast or just audiobooks, Audible. I got a ton of books on that. Yeah. And, you might only catch one thing that day out of like 6 chapters, but that's one more thing that you didn't know yesterday. Yeah. So just keep listening and eventually you'll learn more and more. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
What are some, podcasts or books that you would recommend?
Yeah, so there's a book called E-Myth Revisited. It's really good. I think it's really catered to a new business owner. Kind of forget and you do everything, and you start to forget. A lot of business owners, when you start, you kind of have to do everything. I mean, unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're going to be the one who's editing, marketing, advertising, doing everything. So it's a nice book. It just kind of tells you how to grow to the next step and who you need to bring on the team and what you need to push aside so that you can keep growing your business. Yep. That's really good. Jocko Willink, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got a couple of books. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's an entrepreneur, motivational speaker. He's got a couple of books that I've read too. He's got 2 of them that are out. But he's a big. He brings a lot of combat experience into his book. But if you can kind of transfer the 2 into your entrepreneurial life, it's pretty motivating.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I got a bunch. I don't have too many specific special ones. Yeah. I just take them all for what they are. Yeah. As long as you pick up some things, you're better off. Yeah.
As long as you're always learning.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the big thing. And just challenge yourself to keep learning. I think that's something I'm going to try to do more this year, which is not just thinking I know everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But also just challenge myself to be able to learn from other people or from people that are like thought leaders in that industry, or also just putting myself in positions that make me get uncomfortable, because that's how you learn to grow, So I'm starting to do a lot more like this podcast. I'm really not the most outspoken person. I'm really introverted, so doing more things like this helps me be able to, I guess, just know how to talk more, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, like, public speaking is something that I'm
Yeah.
trying to do more of. And so just more of that, just because, like, I know that that's going to just challenge myself. And I think that, I think learning and challenging yourself are just huge components to just, life, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's one thing I always tell myself is, if things feel like they're going too good, that means you're not trying anymore.
Yeah.
If you are not feeling uncomfortable, then you need to find the next thing that's going to make you uncomfortable.
I agree.
Because being uncomfortable means you don't know it, right? Because if you know it, you're confident.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and the important thing as an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is you need to be good at like analyzing yourself constantly and being like, and never get lost in your own hype, right? Like, because I did that for the first 2 years. Because you never start a business, all of a sudden you got a business and you start people sporting Yelo Auto Sports, and you're like, cool, man, we got something going.
Yeah.
But the minute you do that, you're failing. You're starting to go down already.
Yeah.
You should always be hungry, humble, and just don't believe your own hype, because the market could go down tomorrow, and all of a sudden, especially in my industry, I'm not providing food. I'm providing buffing services.
It's a little bit like
it's a luxury. Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
not everybody needs it right away.
Yeah, you can't get lost in just that my brand will carry me.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. Customer service got to be good. I got to greet you at the beginning. I got to greet you at the end. I might have to call you and make sure things are doing well.
I think relationships are part of your business, right? Bringing people back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having people talk good about you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a difference between, I'll just talk auto detailing. You've got two different details, right? Like everybody's familiar with going to Holiday and running through the quick car wash thing.
Yeah.
That's like maybe a $10 detail, right? It takes maybe 10 minutes. Really convenient, fast, efficient.
Yeah.
Gets you about your day. And we charge more than that because we actually do a lot more hands-on.
For sure.
But it's just different types of business. One is just quick and efficient, but with my business, relationships are really important because we do ask a little bit more money from the client. And so with that comes customer service.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to greet the person. When you go through the drive-through thing, you don't even talk to anybody. You just talk to a machine, press what you need, and you're done.
Yeah.
So it just depends on model you got and what your business is.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you're building customer relationships, you're hiring a team, and you got a real business going on.
Yeah.
What are you guys kind of focusing on now? What are some things that are making you uncomfortable, like today?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna try to think of a specific situation here at this point. But so for the year 2020, we've been in business for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So in 5 years, there's a lot of things that happen. Obviously, you start to build a brand awareness. You start to build people that follow your brand and kind of help you, support you. You also start to create a real team behind you. My personal goals this year is, even though I try to learn everything, I've finally come to accept that, you're not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be good enough at each thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Like, that's time's the only thing we don't have enough of, right? So I can't go sleep 2 hours and work because that would never be efficient. I still have to sleep my 6 to 8 hours in order to be a good performer in whatever I do, or the best performer I can be. So I realized I need to start building a real team. I got a team already, but there's different areas where you could use more members. So how do you do that? You have to go find those people, interview those people, make sure they fit for your company. Whether or not they will, you don't know. You do the best screening that you can. But with that, expenses are going to go up because now you got employees that you got to pay, So as the business grows, more people know you. But as more people know you, as more people come to you, the next challenge is, okay, now how do we handle more people?
Yeah.
And who do we hire in order to make this whole thing run? The business needs to go like this, right? And it needs to be a smooth, it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be smooth, but you need to try to make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next step is bringing more people.
Okay.
Finding
kind
new,
of like scaling your business.
Yeah, scaling it to the next step. There's a question you got to ask yourself at the beginning too, depending on what you do, what business you do is where do you want to take your business? Do you want it to be? You could be doing photography by yourself forever, or you could be doing photography, and all of a sudden you got a team and you guys do 50 weddings a summer. So that's part of business too. Is okay, how will I scale? and am I ready to take that leap? And when I take that leap, I better be ready. And if I'm not ready, then I better figure it out.
Yep.
And will it stress me out more? Yeah, probably it will. But as long as you can handle the stress, you know. Well, it comes with business. It's you know. So.
That's part of what it is. I think the biggest thing is it's kind of like a relationship. Like business, there's gonna be problems.
Yep.
It just depends if the business that you're in, like, are you willing to go through all of that for that business that you are in? You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're gonna have problems in relationships no matter what.
Yeah.
It just depends if that's the person you want to have problems that are worth to do. Is that person worth to deal with those problems?
Yeah, a big part of it is just not giving up. You know, like, you know, I'm not getting last amount on hype, but I work as a firefighter and I also have a full-time business. So I basically have 2 careers that I run at all times. And there's so many times I want to quit the business because I'm like, man, I've got a good job. I got a good, decent career that I love. I'm already doing what I love. And now I'm stressing myself for a business. Is that really worth it? Like, is it worth all the time that I lose every day by not seeing my friends or being able to be at the gym longer or things like that? But if you create a vision for yourself, I think the important thing, which is another thing I take from the Marine Corps, is that if you give up, then that's too easy. You know, it's too easy. If you just give up, then you'll never get there. So once you commit to yourself that that's what I'm going to do, then you might as well just go all in and grind. And when it gets hard, you know, in business you'll learn, and I'm sure you've learned in the things that you do, that some days it's like a high. Some days it sucks, it's a low because maybe somebody made an error in the shop, or you made an error, you didn't account for something. So it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, which gets easier over time, right? Because you're like, you just know that there's going to be ups and downs. But yeah, you just can't give up. You got to just be like, kind of just remind yourself. For me, I always use the example of it's not a 15-mile hike. So hey, even though this hurts, it doesn't hurt as much as hiking, you know? So for me, that's my example, what I use for myself. And everybody's just got to find something that was hard in your life before. If you can find that, remember that, and be like, maybe that sucked more than this, so this is all right, you know? Or if this sucks today, once I overcome this, I'll be all right, you know? So,
for sure.
You know?
I agree with that. Like, it's not just all, like we were talking about earlier, like people see the pretty part of stuff, but like there's a lot of like ups and downs, like you said. There's a lot of days where you may not want to do it, but I think the biggest thing is, do you have a vision? Do you have a goal? And keeping that in mind every day, right? That's the thing that's going to keep you going through the bad days. That's the thing that's going to make you even happier on the happy days, you know, because like, I'm getting closer to that. So just not being too romantic about like the ups and downs, but understand that, you know, your main goals should be the focus, and those type of things are just part of the journey to be able to get to that main goal.
You know, you got to put your head down. At the end of the day, you got to grind. Just like any